especially if you're coming off certain quote-unquote addictions, biochemical addictions like caffeine, for example. If your body, for example, if your body is acclimated towards getting false energy, in Chinese medicine they would call it false fire. You're taking an outside substance to stimulate your nervous system, your central nervous system, to get that that get up and go. It's a false chi, essentially. It's a false fire. And then what always happens, what always follows that at some point, especially if you have an adrenal fatigue issue, around 1, 2, or 3, it's the drop-off, right? You start to feel tired and really fatigued. So that's letting you know that there's an underlying condition that was present in your body many weeks to months to most likely years before you came here. I want to make that point, is that this may be the first time in your recent life, recent years very likely, that you've actually not been in a hypersympathetic state. That means you haven't been in a high cortisol state, a high stress, a high fight or flight state. Now I want to point this out, that what's going on with the human culture right now is that we're in such a go, 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 go mode. People literally don't even take Sunday off for themselves, right? Like the whole idea the earth was created in 6 days, the 7th day was for rest and reflection. We don't even do that in our own microcosm, right? Even the 7th day, it's like, okay, I gotta do laundry, I gotta do blah, blah, take the kids, blah, 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 like it's constant go, go, go. And so what happens on the physical level is that we suppress the natural cleansing process that your body would normally be going through when you were in a parasympathetic state. When you're relaxed, you're calm, the mental chatter is dissipating, and you're just like chilling, right? That's the whole idea of like chilling. To translate that for some of you guys, like modern lingo, like I'm chill, I'm chilling, right? That's what that means. And most of us don't do that. Even when we think we're relaxing, we're like forcing ourselves. We're still struggling to rest and relax, right? Me and Jason have had this conversation about how we came to realize that it's actually a challenge to rest, like a normal animal would in nature. What does an animal do when they get hurt or they get sick? Does anyone know? There's 3 things that an animal do, like a deer or a wolf or a bear or something like that. There's 3 things that they will do automatically. One is automatically they'll fast. They will stop eating right away. They'll also go and hide in a dark place, away from people, solitude, and then they'll sleep until they're all better. Even if they break a leg or get wounded. Fast, solitude, sleep, boom, that's it. And so I point that out, like this is an opportunity, even though we're not technically fasting, comparatively speaking, for a lot of people, you're coming from different lifestyles, right? So you're eating differently than you did before. It's not just that the food is raw food and it's high vibration and enzymes and minerals and all that. It's actually that you're technically in a fasting state to some extent compared to where you might have come from, of eating whatever. You know, I came from bologna sandwiches and like, again, glow-in-the-dark, pasteurized, homogenized, antibioticized, hormonally injected milk products that, you know, that probably have like 77,000 environmental chemicals laced into it. I remember getting off that stuff and I was like, whoa, like it was a little bit of a purging experience, right? There was a precipitation effect. Things were precipitating and permeating out of me. Emotional stuff was coming up, mental jargon, physical like aches and pains, and I even had to go like almost like anorexic at one point. I remember one point when I was really doing high raw food, like high fruit, like vegetables, and I didn't even get into superfoods at that time. I was still in this whole paradigm of like, no, superfoods aren't good for you. You don't do powdered, that's not food. You don't do that. You just eat it as it is. In fact, you don't even blend it. You don't cut nothing. You don't blend nothing. You just eat it as it is. Straight up natural hygiene thinking. You don't know what that is? That's like old school, like really rigid raw food, like 1960s raw food dogma, which actually made sense in the 1960s when we didn't have like chemtrails and radioactive toxicity in every corner of the earth. Now it's a little different. We need a little different strategy, like we're going to go into. But that was my experience coming in. So I want to let you guys know that expansion, you're expanding your container. You're expanding your threshold. And through that expansion and experiencing some of the cleansing precipitation, you're getting a new reference point. You're realizing that, hey, you know what? Maybe I've been carrying a load of toxicity for quite some time. And now it's actually starting to have an effect. And I want to point out that that toxicity, that effect, that load that you're experiencing or maybe experiencing has been present in you for some time. But because of the insensitivity of our body, we haven't been able to hear the signals that our body's been trying to send us. It's kind of like the pharmaceutical suppression idea, right? Here's one really important thing about healing you need to understand is that if someone has like any kind of infection, we talked a lot about this, even like to extreme cases of like tumors, you know, many different things. You know, it's similar. But what happens is a lot of times, if you do nothing, including stop doing what you were doing, it's actually better for the pain. It's actually better for the disease condition than if you run to the pharmacist and get some kind of suppressive medication. A lot of times the thing will work itself through you and you'll notice stuff will come out of your nose. Stuff will come out of your orifices, your detox portals. Stuff will just start coming out if you let it circulate. You drink a lot of water, juices, that kind of thing. Stuff will start to circulate out of you, right? Like a common cold or a common fever or something like that. You just got to let it circulate out. But what we do in the Western culture is we forget that whole idea. We just suppress things. Immunosuppressants for autoimmune conditions, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? Advil, Tylenol, all that kind of stuff. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medication, which actually you should just take enzymes. If you have extreme inflammation, do some of the things that we mentioned, MSM, enzyme therapy, lemons, limes, citrus fruit, berries, antioxidant-rich foods. Because that's not going to suppress anything, it's just going to help patch up and put out that inflammatory fire. That makes sense?